Tell you a very common mistake that a lot of people make. People know that you need to add insulation. So adding insulation is something that, that's a no-brainer. But people don't know, most people don't know, that if you do not air seal your attic cavity or your building envelope before you insulate it, you won't get the benefit of the insulation. So it's really, really important to have an energy audit performed so that you know how leaky your house is when you start, and you can measure how much tighter your house is after the work has been performed. That's the measure of air sealing. You want to tighten up your house. So you don't want that, all your heat that you're paying for or your air conditioning in the summertime running, right out the house. So tightening up the house, the shell, is really important. Then you insulate, and then once you've got the shell really nice and tight and you've got this big blanket of insulation, then you can look at downsizing your heating and cooling equipment.
Hi, welcome to my home. I'm Bill Metler, and I've been lucky enough to have an energy audit done on my home. And this house was built in 1885, and it was built as a summer vacation house, so it didn't have any electricity or plumbing in it, and these things have been added since then. And as the architects have pointed out, that people weren't thinking too much about insulating this house during the winter time. So we're going to find a lot of leaks in this house.
I'm Laura Blau, and I'm an architect, and my husband and partner, Paul Thompson, and I have a firm, Blue Path Design, but we also have another firm called Green Steps, which does education and energy consulting, or sustainable building consulting.
My name is Paul Thompson. I'm an architect here in Philadelphia. My wife and I are partners in Blue Path Design Architects.
As we look at this house, this late 1800s house, actually there was no such thing as insulation as we know it back then. So these houses weren't insulated. Insulation came in much later. This is this sort of rear mudroom, and you can feel that the temperature here is colder.
So we're looking at this area along here, and then there's spots in there where you can see sunlight coming in. Obviously, if you can see sunlight, that means that air is getting in there very easily too. In fact, when you run your hand across here, you can feel a nice cool breeze.
And the space between here is very leaky. So gasketing and sealing those kinds of places are important. And sometimes you can even add another plastic seal on the inside, or even have new small storms that can magnetically connect to the inside.
The window's not all the way up, so that certainly is one thing that is an easy fix.
Yes.
Outlet through baseboards. It's the equivalent of having a door open all year round, especially in the winters when you really notice it.
Point is well taken about sealing this off.
This doesn't need to be sit down and eat dinner kind of comfortable. It's
Right.
just a pass through, and so saving money by lowering the temperature in here is an obvious way.
This is a cold floor, and it actually sucks a great deal of warmth out of a building. There's not much you can do about that in this, unless you don't have the height to put a floor down and insulate underneath that on top of this concrete. So it's always going to be a refrigerating agent, which is nice in the summertime, but it's not so good in the wintertime.
Right.
Okay, the basement's going to be colder. We don't need it to be warmer. And maybe we insulate the ceiling, we insulate our pipes to sort of separate that. And if you have ducts running through the unconditioned space, the cooler space, then you want to also insulate those.